Action! Okay, Michael had a question about hunger hunting. And hunger hunting is a phenomenon that I term because of what happens at night. I think a lot of us will plow through the day with as little to eat as possible and think that we're doing great, and then we'll lose it at night when we get home and we're just too deserving because we worked a full 10-hour shift, we sat through traffic, we were really good during the day, and now it's time that I deserve to eat something, whatever I want, because I paid for it. Now, obviously that's not being self-indulgent, that's just having a breakdown because you starved all day and suddenly your brain is getting weaker, and that's when the hunt happens. So if the hunt happens and you have crap around, guess what you're going to be eating? Crap. So the first rule that I say is get the crap out. You're going to have to go through the cupboard, you're going to have to go through the fridge, you're going to have to go through your favorite candy drawer, and you have to get everything out. Now, you're going to be wasting money, but donate it to somebody, I guess. If you still have Halloween candy, by the way, left over, I mean, come on. So a lot of that stuff that we have is all full of sugar. These are the 10 McDonald's packs that I used to have in a large cup of coffee every morning, or was it every morning or every third day, over when I used to work with Donata Family Medicine. And it was to turn off the bitterness of the coffee I drank because I was too sleepy from the beer I drank the night before. And that was to calm me down because I deserved it. But I stopped that. And if you stop just having sugar, extra sugar, white sugar, that's fine. But you have to read labels because there's a lot of things that have sugar in them that you're unaware of. So always know how to read labels. Get the crap out, get the candy out, try to cut back on the pastries, the desserts, the ice creams, the canned drinks, the boxed drinks. All of them have high fructose. And fructose is not digestible. It doesn't go anywhere. It just sits in the liver, gets broken down, and usually turns into, or it stimulates the pancreas to overproduce insulin, gets you hunting later on. It might feel good at the time being, but you'll hunt later on. So that would be the first thing. Clean the cupboards out. The second thing, though, is you don't want to just take something away. You want to have something there because you're going to be hunting for it. I mean, no one is good to go from the start. So if you add things like, now this is not appetizing compared to candy, but kipper snacks or herring, maybe a salad with your favorite dressing, or fruits, vegetables. It is now springtime in Chicago. We got the farmers markets coming out. You can buy a bunch of stuff. Some stuff that you can munch on. Grapes, blueberries, frozen if you want, just for the texture. I like the assorted dry roasted nuts from Target, non-salted. There's a plethora of just putting your hand in and giving yourself a portion and having different nut flavors. So there's a bunch of things that you can do, but if you have all that in abundance, and yes, you might be wasting money again because you might not finish all that stuff, but it's not there to just finish and eat totally. It's there to sway your ideas when you go down in a hunt. When do we usually hunt? After work, when we're tired, sometimes middle of the night, or on weekends. So if you have the good stuff available, you're going to be grumbling and saying, man, I wish I had that bag of chips around, which is what I always do. But I can't have the bag of chips because I know I'll finish the whole family-sized bag in just one Walking Dead episode. So it's important to have that away, get the good stuff. Sometimes I'll have the nuts in portions, or I'll make some popcorn, freshly popped. I don't use that bag crap. So, by the way, I usually have popcorn in grapeseed oil or something that's high burning or high smoke point, and then I'll sprinkle a little bit of garlic on it and a touch of salt. That's my snack. I tried not to make that a bottomless bag like in the Cinemark or the AMC theaters, but anyway, that will be a little bit of a reward without the side effects of the sugar. So a little bit filling too, right? The third thing would be, if you get the crappy stuff, number one, if you have the gold stuff, number two, and you've had your meal, try brushing your teeth, just in case you have a very savory food type or snack, whatever you've indulged in. I tell you, the more processed the food is, the more the aftertaste you have. And I can't remember the last time I had ice cream or chocolate, but I remember after having the chocolate especially, I would taste the chocolate about half an hour later, 30 minutes later, and still want to experience that taste again because it gave me a salty, sugary kind of taste. So I kept on thinking about that and I couldn't stop. Brushed my teeth, brushed my tongue, no more taste, or at least the taste buds were refreshed. My palate was cleansed and I didn't have that thinking or nudging me in the head for more. So that's another thing. So sometimes getting away from the table would be important. Getting away from those extra servings would be important. You know, serving family style is also a little dangerous when you have the big plate in front of you or the serving plate in front of you and just have the scoop back and forth. So having the serving plate away and then going to get this, your dish, your portion, and then sitting down with everybody would be important. That's the next point, is sitting down. I have caught myself standing up to eat certain times, especially in my old clinic. I would sit there because I wouldn't have more than 10 minutes. I'm supposed to have an hour break, but I usually go over because I'm trying to extract all this information. Anyway, standing seems to be faster, but you know, we just dishonored food. If I had somebody prepare this great food and I just woofed it down, number one, I didn't get all the taste, I didn't get all the gustatory feel, the texture, and my brain just said, what was that? It went down to my stomach, and I can hopefully rely on the stomach to stretch and tell the brain I ate something, but I just missed the most important cue about satiety and happiness and fullness, which is taste. So sometimes it is important to take advantage of that. It's also important to stop and be mindful with the type of eating you're doing. There's actually mindful eating. Jon Kabat-Zinn, this is a great magazine that just came out, but they talk about eating mindfully. Jon Kabat-Zinn is the creator of mindfulness-based stress response, and he actually has this exercise where you eat a raisin, or several raisins, but you do one at a time, but you go very, very slowly, and you feel the empowerment from the food, the taste, the different parts of the tongue, the ridges on the raisin, the taste after you bite the raisin. That's just one raisin. And you take your time, but it's being mindful about your eating practice. And it showed that with people who practiced his technique and dieted versus people who just dieted, the folks that practiced his technique usually lasted longer with their weight loss and then lasted longer with their lower cholesterol, lower sugars later on down, up to 2 years out of the study. So Seventh-day Adventists also practice the same thing, eating with a group, eating with happiness. Mediterranean diet is always practiced that way, same thing with the Japanese diet. So I think these are the longest lived cultures in the world, up to 103 years of age, and they practice mindfully eating versus eating in the car, eating on the run, wolfing down something and saying, I ate it, I know it was there, I think I'm full, I'll wait to reap the damage in 2 hours, because you will. So the other thing is when you stress eat, sometimes it tends to make you search for alcohol. And this is my last beer, well, this is 10-10-10 with my last marathon, and I truthfully was looking at or thinking about having a beer the last few miles of the marathon. And I thought, well, why am I even thinking about that? And I did. I went to have Thai food. I had a couple of beers, and then I drove home, which is a no-no. But I won't do that again because I stopped. And that's empty calories. That certainly is relaxing. But what do you do when you have a beer? Usually you have to have nuts or finger food. And what do you do when the beer hits you and you're relaxed? You have more nuts and finger food because you just lost your control. So empty calories irritates the stomach, not a good thing. And that would bring me to the opposite of that, is increase your fluid intake. So I don't have a problem with just fluid, water, distilled water with lemon. Why not tea? If you do tea, even in the summertime you can do tea, or you can cool it down. It's up to you. This is turmeric tea. I got this from an Okinawan friend, one of the other fellows that graduated with me at the Arizona Center for Integrative Medicine, and I've fallen in love with turmeric tea. I still have my go-tos in Japanese green teas, but wow, this is awesome. So increasing your hydration will help because a lot of us don't drink. Truck drivers especially don't like to drink, and I understand why, because it sometimes pulls you off the road. Women who have, or men who have problems with bladder spasm don't want to drink that much because you're going to want to have to pee in the middle of a conversation on the telephone or while giving a presentation or working diligently at a computer site. So we can force ourselves not to drink and to postpone that thirst. But sometimes what happens is you've postponed it so much during the day that when it comes nighttime, you actually might be thirsty and you're thinking you're hungry. And what do? You hunt. You eat mindlessly, trying to satiate some kind of feeling. But if you push the fluids, not only will it be healthier for exercise, but you'll also take away that possibility, dehydration being the cue. Also, you'll have a little bit of a fuller effect when you stretch out the stomach before you eat. Then there's the idea about just getting out and walking after eating, or exercise. Exercise always helps to generate good feedback between the brain, the muscle, and the gut. And because of that knowledge of what your stomach and your body and your muscle wants, you won't hunt so much, and it'll be easier to postpone and understand those feelings. That's what mindfulness practice is all about, is to understand what the body cues are, what the signals are. Is this hunger? Is this boredom? Is this fatigue? Is this something else? So if you have unsettled emotions, or if you're just wanting to get frustration out or work out, do that instead, or be regular with that. Finally, it's sleep. Sleep has to be regulated. It has to be same time every night of getting to sleep and the same time every morning of waking up. If you're cutting yourself short as far as the 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours that most Americans need, now again, that's just the window, but there are people who fall outside the bell curve, then it might be that you're lacking sleep. And fatigue could be a big reason for the misinterpreted signals of hunger, and also fatigue will be a definite additive reason for making bad choices, which will usually be what happens when you say you have marijuana. When you have marijuana, which is sometimes good if it's medical marijuana and you have a disease state, but if you're just doing it recreationally, I would be careful. There are munchies that people get, uncontrolled, and that's theoretically because of a certain block in the brain that's being done by the marijuana, and it just makes you ravenously eat, which is good for cachectic people or people on chemotherapy with no nausea, but it'll just explain to you that when you take away that limitation in the brain, you will just eat mindlessly, which brings us back to just having that link between exercise, mindful practice, and nutrition to be the best lifestyle change that you can manifest. So good question, Michael. If you have any other comments, please post them down below. Otherwise, subscribe to me for other questions with Dr. Ric's Minute Clinic.